That was earlier today in Parliament. The SABC understands that President Ramaphosa is now hosting a farewell dinner for former President Jacob Zuma at Tuynhuys, the Cape Town office of the Presidency. Our reporter Abra Barbier is there and joins us now. Abra, you're outside. Tell us what you believe is happening inside.
Francis, they're having a cocktail dinner, they're having a farewell dinner for the former president this evening. All that we were told at the very last minute almost, it happened while we were in the National Assembly listening to President Ramaphosa's reply to the debate on his address. We just got messages to say that between I think 5 and 5:30 the new president would be hosting this event to give Jacob Zuma a chance to say goodbye to his former ministers and deputy ministers. As you know, at what was meant to be the last cabinet briefing, I think it was last week, that briefing was eventually postponed, and the former president hasn't had a proper audience with his cabinet, with his executive and the deputy ministers. So this is seen to be an opportunity for him to say goodbye. What it also signifies to some is that it's actually a form of unification on the part of President Ramaphosa, who is really being seen to be just trying to forge unity among the ANC at the moment. I'm sure you are aware that in recent weeks, in recent days, there have been loud calls from opposition parties for him to reshuffle his cabinet, and there were specific ministers who were targeted. But in his speech this evening, in his reply this evening, he was actually really protective of the existing ministers, and he was saying that he's heard the call for a cabinet reshuffle and that an announcement would be made in due course. That's all he would say on that. An announcement would be made by the president in due course. But he said that the harassment and the name-calling of sitting ministers was unfair and inappropriate. So he really came to the defense of those ministers who, many of them, were not in his camp in the run-up to the ANC elective conference last year. So he still came to their defense, and that speaks to what President Ramaphosa is being seen to be doing. He's trying to forge unity not only within his party, but also, of course, with opposition parties. He welcomed the input that they made in the debate yesterday. He said he's heard what they had to say. He's going to be taking some things to heart, and he said that the role that government has to play at the moment cannot be done by the ANC alone. He called on political party leaders. He told them, we cannot do this without you. So that seems to be the message. That seems to be his plan going forward, is to be a unifier of sorts. And of course, the best place for him to begin is at home within his own party. And essentially that's what we think is happening over the dinner table inside right now.
Yeah, this is a cordial cocktail party then after the former president accused the incumbent of breaking the deal in the early negotiations. If only we could be there. Tell us who you've seen coming or going, Abra.
Actually, many of the ministers were inside almost immediately as soon as the speech in the House was done. So we, of course, had to go and edit and prepare the package for you guys. And in that time, ministers, the bulk of them, arrived. By the time I had gotten here, I think I only saw 1 or 2, and we couldn't even really get sound bites from them because they essentially get dropped off right here by their vehicles, and then they scurry on in. So we haven't had a chance to speak to anybody. They just made their way straight here after the House. Many of them, I would have loved to know exactly what was going on in their minds, because in as much as the president was trying to unify, he made very hard statements as well. I mean, the call for the lifestyle audits, he was very clear. That is going ahead, and that is starting with his cabinet. And opposition parties applauded this. So that was an interesting call on his part. But like I say, he also did come to their defense. President Cyril Ramaphosa seems to be saying all the right things right now. We'll just have to see what happens from here. Francis.
Thank you very much, Abra. So those ministers behind closed doors, a cocktail party being hosted by President Cyril Ramaphosa for former President Jacob Zuma. Well, after